You like chairs, really? One at a time. Let's get some more. Wish you the land. Sides of any feast or any Jewish feasts are there's usually speeches. I'm really sorry. So, if you can all gather around, there'll be food afterwards as well. Thank you very much. Guys, can you please come here? Service guide up. Eliezer. Hello, Benji. Can you get the guys from inside to come out? Alright! If everyone could be quiet for a few minutes, I'd really appreciate it. Thank you. Coordinators, if you could set an example, that would be amazing. I'd like to welcome you all to this third annual end of year event. Guys, first year as an independent charity. I'm not going to lie, when we went our separate ways, I was very nervous. I didn't know what would come of it. It was difficult to foresee what the future would hold. And being here today, surrounded with so many of you, it's definitely given me confidence that we have done right by the organization and by the community by continuing the work that we were doing. And it's all down to you that this has continued. It's not just by seeing all of you here that I get this confidence. I get feedback from all over regarding all the amazing work you do. I get feedback from your parents. I get feedback from the volunteers themselves. I get feedback from the families who we support. I get feedback from the schools who you are part of. I get feedback from across the world. Yes. I get feedback from Shlomi Brief.
Yeah, thank you.
Just to give you a bit of an understanding of what I'm talking about, I got a feedback from Los Angeles on Friday. I'd like to read out to you some of the parts of the feedback. I sent them the video that we're going to watch. Hi Moshe.
Hey!
Everyone, welcome to Moshe Delang. Moshe. So, Moshe, can you stand over there for a few minutes and now come say hi to you, okay? Stand over there for a few minutes. Okay, stand for a few minutes. The feedback goes as follows. This video, and just to explain to you, we're going to see a video in a few minutes about the work that we do. This video is so touching and amazingly well done. It brought tears to my eyes. You should be proud of yourself and the fabulous chesed that you're encouraging in London and beyond. Just to explain to you, this woman, her father is in UCH hospital. He's been there for the past 3 months. He's a tzaddik, he's written sforim. He's also someone who used to own his own accounting firm. So he's very worldly. He ran Project Seed for 28 years, or he was a volunteer there. And he's been in hospital for 3 months, and we've been visiting him every Shabbos. And this lady came from Los Angeles to visit her father, and we were chatting with her, and she's a very chatty person, and a very friendly person. And I was telling her about all the work that we do, and she could not believe it. So I had to send her the video to show her that it's true. So she saw the video. Anyway, she keeps on writing. Last Shabbos, a certain Rebbe from Eretz Yisrael who's in Los Angeles for specialized treatments had to be in hospital in UCLA, which is the hospital in Los Angeles, which is about 2.25 hours walk from our area. I grew up in the same street as his wife and felt that if you and all your great helpers can do the long walks, so would I. This woman, I think she's probably in her mid-40s, I'm not sure exactly. She felt that if we are doing all this chesed, who is she to say, sorry, I can't? So she walked 2.25 hours last Shabbos, not this Shabbos, the Shabbos beforehand, and she visited. Thank you again for making the tremendous effort to go and visit our father. Kol hakavod, etc., etc. What is it that I felt it was important to share with you from this message? We don't realize how we are able to influence other people. We don't realize by our small acts. But when you look around, look at the amount of people who are here. And this is discounting all those who have not been able to make it today. All these numbers add up. You do an hour here, you do an hour here, you do 4 hours here, some of you volunteer more than others, but all together as a collective, it's a massive number. I believe this past year, there was something like 43,000 hours of volunteering. I don't think you understand. I don't think you understand what it means that a group of teenagers, young adults, get together and do such avodas hakodesh for the community. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable to think that if you were not doing this, who would be doing this? No one. Absolutely no one. And not only that, not only are we helping families, we're able to help other organizations too. We're able to help to do sessions in Kisharon, at Gift, at Jewish Care. We're able to impact far beyond the community. Other organizations that are involved in the community, we're able to be part of those communities. It doesn't matter what school you come from, it doesn't matter what fromness level you are, it's irrelevant. Because chesed is 100% universal. Everyone can access it, and everyone should access it. And I'm proud to feel that Shabbos Walk is giving the opportunity for everyone to be able to access these opportunities. I was speaking to a volunteer the other day, a volunteer who's been volunteering for about 3 years, just to hear the impact that the last 3 years has been on his life, helping other people. You'll see in the video the different emotional thoughts that people are having when they've been involved with Shabbos Walk for so long, how it's changed them, how it's made them see what other people need, how it's made them see that you can just help anyone at any given opportunity. This is incredible. This is an opportunity that you guys must grasp, that you guys must appreciate and continue to do. Unfortunately, the Beis HaMikdash went on Sinas Chinam. The only way to bring it back is through Ahavas Chinam. Loving for no apparent reason. People back in the day hated for no apparent reason. We have to love for no apparent reason. And I'm confident and I'm comfortable to be around you guys and feel and say, that is exactly what we're doing. We help people not because we know them, not because they give us anything in return, but because we want to help other people. That is Ahavas Chinam. And that is the complete opposite of Sinas Chinam. And that is what will build the Beis HaMikdash. Yes, you deserve a round of applause, that's for sure. I'd like to address a point which has been around for a while. People have mentioned to me that the name Shabbos Walk is slightly inappropriate for what we are doing. Yes, originally it started as a Shabbos Walk, walking to the hospitals, visiting people in hospital on Shabbos, and that made sense. But now, Shabbos Walk is very misleading. It's every single day of the week. Not only that, on Shabbos it's not just hospitals, sometimes it's things nearby, so the walking it's not so appropriate. So what's pshat that we still call it Shabbos Walk? So the obvious answer is, I don't have a better name. But I think there's a far deeper meaning to this name, which is very appropriate for what we're about. I've started learning Mesilas Yesharim with one of the Chaburas, and if you're not in one of the Chaburas, feel free to join one of the Chaburas. And the Mesilas Yesharim brings down Rav Dessler, who talks about the concept of Shabbos in a slightly different way to what you might think. There's a saying, Mishetorach be'erev Shabbos, yoichal b'Shabbos. Whoever toiled on Erev Shabbos will eat on Shabbos. And the Pashup Pshat is, if you don't cook before Shabbos, you can't cook on Shabbos. So therefore, in order to have food on Shabbos, you have to work before Shabbos. For a simple reason that you're not allowed to cook on Shabbos. There's another meaning to Shabbos. Shabbos also means Olam Haba. Yom Shekulo Shabbos Umnocha L'chai Olomim. One day that will be Shabbos, and it will be a menucha forever. And I was thinking to myself how appropriate these 2 points are for what we're doing. We have these opportunities in this world. In the next world, these opportunities no longer exist. All the mitzvahs we do, all the chesed we do, only exist in this world. And whoever toils in this world will eat in the next world, spiritually. Whoever does not toil in this world will not be able to eat in the next world. And you are literally making a pathway for your next world. By the acts you do in this world, you are making a pathway. You are putting one footstep after the other footstep, and building your pathway for the next world. Therefore, the name Shabbos Walk is so appropriate. It's so appropriate to say that we are doing Avodas HaKodesh and building our future for the next world. So yes, the name is Shabbos Walk, the name will remain Shabbos Walk, and you guys should remember what you are doing, and you should take this with you wherever you go in your lives. It's only appropriate for me to thank a few very special people who give up their time on a daily basis, voluntary, to coordinate all the amazing work that we do. Some of them have been doing this for 2 years, some more recent, and some are starting. I need to explain to you something. I know they sometimes come across as slightly annoying. Can you volunteer today? Are you free? Oh, you can't volunteer. What are you already doing? But they're making it accessible. They're giving up their time to ensure that all this volunteering is possible and happens. When I make a summary at the end of the day and I see 70 people volunteered on that day, when I see that countless people came to the Chabura, it's all down to the coordinators. And it's not just one guy who just clicks his fingers and makes it happen. There are about 20 people behind the scenes working on a weekly basis to put this all together. And now it's gone to Eretz Yisrael. There are some people in Gibraltar doing it. Hopefully in America it will start. It's spreading like wildfire. Positive fire. Aish, a brin. This is something that we should be proud to be part of. That people so young are making such a difference to the community. I think the coordinators deserve a massive round of applause. I'd like to thank the bike riders. In Mitzvah Hashem this year we've got about 70 bike riders. I think most of you who are here are bike riders. We're going to be doing 220 kilometers to Korf, which is just after Poole. And this money that will be raised is going to allow us to continue and to grow. It's no secret that any organization that does things the size of what we do needs money to function. I can only thank from the bottom of my heart all the volunteers who are riding for raising this money to allow us to continue for at least another year and hopefully further. Thank you. I'd like to give a special thanks to a certain group of boys who have been with us basically from the beginning, and unfortunately or fortunately are moving on to new grounds. Some here in England, some in Eretz Yisrael. They're moving off to yeshiva, and I'd like to thank all the leavers, Moti, Avi Levi, Uri Coleman, I know your face, Benji Lehman, all the leavers and those who I'm not mentioning, Grosnas, etc., etc. Thank you very much. If you could please come after to me, I've got something to give you. I don't embarrass you in front of everyone, but thank you very much for everything that you've done over the years. Not only have you volunteered, you've created relationships, long-lasting relationships with Moshe DeLang. Moshe DeLang loves you guys. He looks forward to you guys coming every week. I'm sure he's going to miss you big time. And when you're back, Ben Azmanim, I'm sure you'll see him. Maybe you'll send him a WhatsApp video to say hi to him while you're away, etc. So thank you very much for everything you've done. I really appreciate it, and so does the families who you help by. Last but not least, I'd like to thank each and every one of you. You all play a very important role in this organization.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank each and every one of you for putting up with me, for putting up with the coordinators. I know it's not always perfect. We're working towards it. I'd like to thank you from the bottom of my heart for making this organization grow, for making this organization strong. If you're all able to, we're going to show you a short video that we've worked to show the world what we're about. If you can all turn around, make a semicircle.
I eat big too.
We'll find out. Ready? Ready? Yeah. Oh. Yeah, but can you video this, please? Can you video? Okay, fine. Do it. Avi, can you video? Okay. Hello. 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 What are you doing? Can I start? Eliezer, can I start? First of all, I would like to take this opportunity to thank every single one of you. Your work is outstanding. Without you guys, we wouldn't be able to function. It's key that you guys volunteer, so thank you very much for that. I'd also like to thank each of my fellow coordinators. Your work is also outstanding. That's Moishi, Tzvi, Yaakov, Yitzi and Benji. Got your names right. But in truth, all this amazing work is actually down to one person. This person, his name is Eliezer. For some reason, he never ever gets the credit he deserves. He's always the one giving the credit. He's never actually receiving any credit. He always remains humble. It was just on Friday actually, I texted him saying, can I speak on Sunday? And he responded to me saying, yes, sure, but not about himself, only about the volunteers. Shows the humbleness that the head of our charity has. 2 weeks ago, today was his birthday, and we were actually, he doesn't know this, we were planning to take him out to eat for supper, the coordinators, but he was busy doing the bike ride route in the car to make sure everything was okay. So that didn't work out. So the coordinators were sitting together in tuck shop and in Yitzi's tuck shop, and we were discussing what can we do for Eliezer? You know, we weren't able to take him out for supper, so we thought there's no better way to thank him and to give him the credit he deserves than to give him a nice present in front of all our volunteers at the end of the event. So without any further ado, would you like to please come up? And we've got a few things.
I'll take the whiskey.
That's what you need.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Here's a picture.
Thank you.
Yeah,
another one just in case.
And that's it.
Read it out, read it out.
And on this glass thingy bjingy, plaque, it's not a plaque, it says, Eliezer, true giver, a legend, thank you.
Thank you to everyone.
Big round of applause for Eliezer.
Thank you, Eliezer.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
The office chair. You can see that was the office chair.
It's fine. Go the other way. That's it.
Thank you very much, everyone. If everyone can huddle together, we're going to do a group picture.
This way, this way.
If everyone can somehow stand over here, if possible. Everyone can please stand around. We're very honoured to have Rabbi Tugendhaft here to come speak. I'd like to give a big shkoyach to Rabbi Tugendhaft for agreeing and saying such wonderful things on camera, on the video which we just showed the boys. And I'd like to invite Rabbi Tugendhaft to say a few words. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Are you ever walking in the street and you see someone and you're scared? You're walking in the street and there's somebody who's maybe larger than you and he looks really mean and scary. Does that ever happen to you? Ever scared? So I tell you that there was only one person that we find that Moshe was scared of. Pharaoh, he wasn't scared of. He walked straight into his palace. Other mean generals, fighters, martial artists, sumo wrestlers, he wasn't scared of anybody. He was scared of one person. Anybody know who he was scared of? He was scared, of course, scared of Hashem, absolutely. But Oig, he was scared of a big giant called Oig. Why was he scared of Oig? Rashi tells us, you know why? Because Oig did a chesed. Because Oig ran to Avram Avinu and said, listen, your nephew Lot, he's been captured. Wow. Moshe Rabbeinu was scared. You know why? He went on a Shabbos walk. Oig was the one who had gone on a walk to Avram Avinu, and he said, you better watch out. He said, your nephew has been captured. And because Oig did a chesed, that is the only reason that Moshe Rabbeinu was scared of him. And if you think about it for a minute, the chesed that he did, the tzaddikim say, Gamliel Rabinovich says, is there anything we can do about the music? Okay, thank you. Okay, so when he did this,
Yes, it went.
What is it?
okay, let's try again. So when Oig went to do this chesed, he was doing it for his own good. He wanted to marry Sarah. It was such a rubbish act of chesed because he was doing it for his own benefit. And still, Moshe was scared of the zechuyos that he would get.
I need 50 guys to sort it out.
Just wait a minute. Someone pull a plug or something. Thank you. Okay. So, I want to tell you a story about a chesed that came from a chesed. And this is the story. There was a man who came to England in 1939, and the war was going on, and this man had to escape from Germany. And he was so fortunate to arrive in England. He was so thrilled that his life had been saved. There was only one problem, that his wife and his children were still in Germany, and he needed to try and save the lives of his wife and his children. And he wanted to get them into England, but the British authorities said, if you want to bring your wife and children over, you have to have a permanent visa. You have to have £500 in the bank. And £500 in 1939 is like hundreds of thousands of pounds today. It's like loads and loads of money. And this man did not have all of this money in the bank. He only had £200. So this poor Jew really didn't know what to do. He needed another £300 in the bank to save his family. So one day he was walking and he was in a kosher bakery, and the owner of the bakery in 1939, his name was Mr. Kossoff. And Mr. Kossoff saw this man, another Yid, and he said to this man, tell me, Rabbi Yid, why do you look so sad? So he said to him, I'll tell you why I look sad. Because I need to have another £300. If only if I have another £300 in the bank, then I can bring my wife and children over to save them. So the man said, Mr. Kossoff, the baker, said to this man, don't you worry, I'm going to lend you the £300, keep it as long as you need, and when you don't need it anymore, then you can give it back to me. And that man was able to bring over his son, and as a result of that, family Tugendhaft was saved, because the man who needed that help was my grandfather. His name was Yisrael David Tugendhaft. And none of my family would have been saved if not for that kind man, Mr. Kossoff, who looked at him and he said, Mr. Tugendhaft, why do you look so down? And it was because of Mr. Kossoff all those years ago that my grandfather was able to get out my father and the family. I'm only alive today because of that one act of chesed. So I'll tell you a story. I've always wanted to meet the descendant of Mr. Kossoff and say thank you to him. Because, you know, his father saved my whole family's life. So I've been trying for years to find a descendant of Mr. Kossoff so I could say thank you to him. And I finally found one, and he was very hard to get into. He's a famous artist, and he has art, he has paintings in the Tate Gallery, and he has paintings in Moscow in the Pushkin Gallery, and his paintings sell for about £1 million each. And this was the son of Mr. Kossoff, who did that chesed to my father, the son of the baker, who hit it big time. And I wanted to meet that son to say thank you for the chesed that your father did. And I tried to get into him, and I couldn't find the way. And then I met an art dealer, and he knew someone who was in charge of a gallery. And finally, after about 20 years of trying to find Mr. Kossoff, I met up with Mr. Kossoff last month. He's 92 years old. And I went into him, and I told him, we made an appointment to meet on Sunday afternoon. And I said to him, I just want to say thank you to you, because your father saved my whole family's lives, and none of us would be here if not for the chesed of your father. And I thought to myself, his father was a baker. A baker, makes a few pence on this loaf and a few pence on that loaf. And isn't it interesting that the father did this massive chesed, and now the son is selling every painting he does for £1 million? Who knows the ways of Hashem, maybe in the merit of the great chesed that his father, Mr. Kossoff Sr. did. So I went in about a month ago to 92-year-old Mr. Kossoff, the son of this man who had helped my family. And I said, I just want to thank you. And he said, well, actually, there's a story behind the story. Because he said, do you know why my father wanted to do chesed? You know why my father, old man Kossoff, you know why he wanted to help out your grandfather? You know what? I'll tell you why. Old Mr. Kossoff, the baker, in the 1920s, he was living in England, and he wanted to go back to Russia to save his parents. So he started going to Russia, and he got to Romania. He couldn't speak a word of Romanian, and he got stopped at the border, and they said, you don't have the right papers. You're going to prison. And there he was, the senior Mr. Kossoff, in the 1920s, not speaking a word of Romanian, in a Romanian prison, didn't know what to do. He thought he might die there. And there was a Jewish couple, a man and a woman, who walked past this prison, and they had heard that there was a Jew who was in this prison. So they, in those days, everybody knew how to speak Yiddish, all the Yidden knew how to speak Yiddish. And so they managed to get a message to this Jew who was in prison, Mr. Kossoff, and they said, hey, what's going on? And he said, yes, I'm really stuck over here. They put me in prison. I don't have the right papers. My family have no idea where I am. There's some in Russia, some in England. I don't know what's going to be with my life. So this Jewish couple from Romania, they said, leave it to us. It was freezing cold, and they managed to get a coat into him. He hadn't eaten for 20 hours. They managed to get food into him. Finally, they managed to bribe the guards of the prison. They gave him, I don't know how many kopecks or rubles or whatever it was, zlata, I don't know what it was they were using over there, but they bribed the guards, and they managed to save Mr. Kossoff Sr. And his life was saved because of these two random Jews who he never met before and who he would never see again. But they saved his life. And he then decided that if ever I have a chance to help another Yid, I'm going to do whatever I can to help another Yid. So I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My whole family is only alive because of this act of chesed that Mr. Kossoff Sr. did to my grandfather. Mr. Tugendhaft, why do you look so down? Let me lend you the money. And Mr. Kossoff Sr. only did that because of this random Jewish couple in Romania who walked past the prison and didn't just walk on past. And they said, there's a Yid here, we're going to see what we can do to help him. What can we do to help him? And because of the chesed they did, he decided he's going to do a chesed. And now I think to myself, I wonder which other person did a chesed to this random couple in Romania all those years ago that inspired them to do that chesed in the first place. And I realize that there's a chain reaction that goes on over here. Someone pushes themselves, puts themselves out to do something for another Yid. That's not the end of the story. It always continues. Because you touch someone's heart, you move someone, you help someone, and you make them, from being a recipient, you turn them into a giver. And as I stand in front of you, all of you today, I'm just really overwhelmed. Because each and every one of you is not just doing one chesed, you're doing chasodim the whole time. Rabbi Eliezer, your leader, has motivated the chevra over here to do chesed after chesed after chesed. And as I look around, I don't just see however many there are of you here. I see not just dozens of acts of chesed, hundreds, thousands, millions and millions of acts of chesed that you're all doing. And now each one of those sets off a chain reaction. And who knows how much goodness is going to come into the world as a result of all of the chasodim that you're doing. HaKadosh Baruch Hu should help each and every one of us to keep on going even when we're tired. To keep on going even when it's not convenient. To keep on pushing ourselves in our Torah, in our Avodah, in our Gemilas Chasodim. And each of these acts of chesed should take us one step closer to the ultimate chesed when Hashem looks down on all of us and says the time has come for the Geula Shalema with Mashiach Tzidkenu B'mheira V'Yomeinu Amen.